Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Farming Simulator 22 once again, and I'm bringing probably my final Deutz video so far. I don't know if I'm going to make any after this because my interest in the Deutz tractor era starts and ends with air cooling. So once they introduce the air-cooled diesels, I really kick on, and once they phase them out, I really kick off. So this will probably be the last one. I started with the DX series, which is kind of the mid-range, then I went back to the 06 series, and now I'm going to be finishing with the Agrostar series. And now, there is some confusion with this series. A bunch of these are air-cooled. Some of them are not. Some of them are where they introduce the liquid cooling. Basically, the way they can tell is whenever you're looking at a Deutz tractor, just in case you want to know this in real life, you look at the engine, and it'll be F something L, and if it says L, it's air-cooled, because that stands for Luft cooling, I believe, which is air cooling. So, you can always tell what type of cooling the tractor was designed for based on the engine that is put in it. So if it has the L in the engine, that means it's air-cooled. So some of these, especially on the smaller end and for the standard style, are actually air-cooled. In fact, I think all of them up to the 681, because I think even the 671 was still air-cooled. I would have to look to remind myself to make sure for, so I'm not wrong. But I know that some of them, at least in the initial offering, were air-cooled. I do not know about the high visibility. I've never been as big a fan of them because I just think they look kind of weird with the sloping down roof. They look more like a tick, So I never got to be as much of an expert with them as I was with the standard DX style ones, but I would assume it's the same sort of thing. They don't get to the liquid cooled until they got to the later or larger offerings. We are missing one because the largest Agrostar ever made was the 831. We do not have one. That was a 230 horsepower tractor. Funny thing about that is it was, as far as I know, not made by Deutz Fahr. They branded it as Deutz Fahr and they gave it the DX style, but it was actually a modified Deutz Alice from the American company that they took and they used. So that was actually a really cool tractor. Unfortunately, there is no mod for that. So if there are any talented mod authors out there that are fans of Deutz tractors, whether it's going to be for FS22 or maybe wait until the next one, FS25 or whatever comes out, I would love to see an Agrostar 831 tractor because, interestingly, even though the 681 was not air-cooled, the 831 was air-cooled. It was, like I said, just a rebranded 9190, I believe, from Deutz Alice in North America. So, fun fact, although it was sold in Europe and not in the United States, it was, in fact, manufactured in the United States. So it's one of those funny things where for so long all the Deutz tractors in America were made in Germany and then shipped here. Then we ended up making that one here and shipping it there, but not selling it here. So it's just funny. But anyway, this is the full Agrostar series, and so I'll have mods linked down in the description. Oh, and I forgot to say, I like to say at the beginning of these videos, I have a real-life farming channel where I, in real life, farm on my farm, and so if you would like to see that, I'll have it linked in the description and a pinned comment. Definitely check that out if you are interested in agriculture, because, it's me messing around on the farm. So we're just going to go through from the bottom end of our offering here at 88 horsepower all the way up to the top at 190 horsepower, and I'll show you the full Agrostar range, both regular and high visibility models, and I will have these mods linked in the description. So let's just start them off. And I'll probably just show you in the store first. So you'll find most of these under small tractors. 2 of them will be in medium tractors, but we'll just start in the small tractors. And I will have to do a decent amount of jumping around because the horsepower offerings vary wildly. So our smallest tractor is going to be the Agrostar 4.61 or 461, which is how I will refer to them throughout this video, just for simplicity's sake. This one is, like I said, 88 horsepower. And you can see that it comes standard with no weights on the front, but with a full cab because obviously the Agrostar series. I don't know if any of these were ever offered in open cockpit or canopy. As far as I know, they were all cab standard. So that is our smallest one at 88 horsepower. Our next biggest one, or I guess second smallest, however you want to look at it, is the Agrostar 468. This is where they introduced the high visibility hood, so it's just called that because it slopes down. So when you're sitting in the cockpit, you can see much closer to the front of your tractor than you could with the old one. Like I said, I understand the utility of the high visibility hood, but I definitely don't like the design nearly as much, and if you're using it for air cooling, it obviously doesn't have as good of airflow either. So I prefer the standard hood, the DX style octagonal hood or hexagonal hood over the high visibility. But yeah, this one is the 468, has 91 horsepower. Then we have the 471, back to the standard hood style, is a 100 horsepower tractor. And we have, once again, another high visibility one, the 478. This one, it comes with 100 horsepower. We also have a 611. That one also came stock with 100 horsepower. Our next biggest one is the 6.08 or the 608. This one has 107 horsepower, so just a little bit bigger, but once again, we're back to the high visibility hood. Our next biggest one is the Agrostar 621. That one has 113 horsepower. Then we have the 628, another high visibility hood one, and that one is 115 horsepower. Then we have the Agrostar 631 at 126 horsepower, and then back to a high visibility offering with the 638. This one has 135 horsepower. Then we move up to our Agrostar 661. This one has 143 horsepower and kind of marks the entry point to your medium-large tractors, so stuff that is still fairly contemporary for at least a decent amount of field tasks in the modern age. Definitely not as big as a lot of the stuff you'll see in the field, but still very, very usable. Everything prior to this is pretty small and undersized for traditional agriculture at this point. Then we actually move to one of our medium tractors, the 671, which comes in at 165 horsepower. Again, a fairly contemporary tractor even in this day and age, and of course being a Deutz has a significant leg up over a lot of the competition in terms of engine technology. Then after that, we're back down into our small tractor section for our largest of the small tractors, which is the 638 Special, which has 183 horsepower, so this is going to be our largest of the high visibility hood offerings. Like I said, unless you were to get the 831, which although was a larger air-cooled engine with 230 horsepower, it also had a more sloped hood that looked a lot more like the high visibility. Now, because it was a very large engine and was air-cooled, it's not quite this small. It is still a very, very large front end on the tractor, but it does slope more like this. So if that was in the game, that would be the largest of the high visibility hoods for the Agrostar series, but as it is, the 638 Special is our largest offering. And then finishing off our lineup with the largest of the Agrostar series currently available through mods in Farming Simulator 22, we have the 681, a very, very famous tractor. Lots of people are still running these things. They hold their value extremely well. Whenever you find one of these up for sale, you almost never find them in the United States. Some have been imported here, and I have seen some here, but they're incredibly rare. They're much more common in Europe, but considering this is a tractor that came out in the early 90s, their prices are crazy. You see these things selling for $40,000 to $50,000 on average when they go up for sale, but most of the people who have them are still running them daily as their, everyday work tractors, because they're contemporary. They're right around 200 horsepower, which makes them something that you can actually use quite a bit. They have really nice cabs, because the Agrostar series introduced Deutz's first, really good cab, because the DX series was still not that great. And they were front wheel assist standard. So they're just very, very utilitarian tractors. Even to this day, they're still very useful and very contemporary. So that is our largest one that we have today. And so I'll just go down the line and I will start them up and show you the sounds of these tractors without talking too much. I'll say little bits and pieces here and there, but mostly I just want to show the sound files for these. Here, once we get to the 671, it's the first time where we get a significantly different sound effect for starting it up. It makes it sound more like it's turboed. You can see we get a much deeper sound when using these ones. The two larger models, I should say, the 671 and the 681. And of course, we get our largest of the high visibility ones. So you can see from the inside of the cab why they're called high visibility. Basically, over your dash, you have a straight view to the ground. So, you know, it is an improvement in operator visibility, but like I said, as far as overall appearance of the tractor goes, I never really liked the style all that much. I do like the cabs for the Agrostar series. You can see we have sort of a hideaway buddy seat in the back. It's not technically what it's called, but it is very usable as one. I love the utilitarian black plastic like floor liners. I never liked when tractors around this era, they all had carpet in them, or like I guess not carpet, but whatever you'd call the material that you make like car floor mats out of, where it just gets dirty and holds moisture really well. That is a terrible design for something that you're climbing in and out of into a bunch of mud. So never liked that, but I do love the layout of the Agrostar cabs. They're very ergonomic. You have plenty of room, a great view around you. Lots of room up top for consoles, even though they didn't come standard at the time. Outfitting them now, there's plenty of room up top for various different consoles. And of course, all of the shift levers and hydraulic controls and PTO controls and all that sort of stuff being located in very easy to reach and comfortable to use locations right to the right is all, of course, excellent. And lastly, we have our 681, everybody's favorite Agrostar workhorse. Like I said, it's not the biggest in the Agrostar series. They actually did contract out the 831 to the Deutz Alice company in America, and so I would love to see that added into either this game or the next Farming Simulator game at some point, just because it would be really cool to be able to use that. But currently, the 681 is our ultimate workhorse. I don't love the Deutz Fahr logo right there in my eye line on the window. I do like the optional, we have the optional work console that you were able to put in. It's one of the things you were able to select. I selected Krona because I use a lot of their equipment in the game. But once again, we see just a very, very ergonomic and great layout. One thing I love about this mod is that they accurately depicted how quiet the Agrostar cabs are. So you can see the 681 is not a quiet tractor. Like when I run it from the outside, I mean, it's not crazy loud, but you know, it sounds like a tractor. Once you get inside, almost entirely silent. I love that because I've been in an Agrostar cab before when the tractor was running. They're so quiet. Now, I've never used an Agrostar tractor, like I said, because I live in the United States and these are just not all that common here. Basically, the only people that have them in the United States are collectors, or I guess people who have business dealings overseas, and so it's relatively affordable to be able to ship them over here. But for the most part, Americans are left with the DX series. We had plenty of those here in the United States, and then, of course, just Deutz Alice. And then it wasn't until the late 90s with the Agrotron series, you know, where they were kind of pieces of junk, where they started importing a lot of them to the United States again. So we kind of missed the entire Agrostar series, and it's a shame because I love them. Especially, like I said, the ones that still had the standard DX style hood. They basically were just a huge technological improvement in most ways, except for when they switched to liquid cooling, which is drastically inferior. But they still looked like the DX series, so you gotta love it. But that is our full lineup for the Agrostar series in Farming Simulator 22. So with just a couple mods, you can get access to everything from 88 horsepower all the way up to 190, all in the early to mid-90s Deutz style. So that's where we're going to end this video. Like I said, I have a real-life farming channel that will be linked in the description and in the pinned comment, hopefully. Definitely check that out if you're interested. I do farm work on my real-life farm, and I actually use Deutz equipment whenever I can. So if you're interested in this, maybe you'll be interested in that. But that's all for today. Thanks a ton for watching, and have a nice day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.